your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Another magnificent Monday. And we welcome you to be a part of Talk Today. It's going to be open line 949-8837. Toll free if you can make it. 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8837. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and invite you to be a part of our continuing discussions about all the good things that are happening in our society. The phone lines are there, 949-8837, 949-6990, or toll free 1-800-534-8255. And give us a shout and share your thoughts with us. Let us know what's transpiring so we can be a part of your, how, as my friend said it, your participation, your interaction is what makes the difference between, a democracy that functions because it's responsive to its people and one at the end of the day where we know we are an incredible part of what is happening. Now, what's going on in your life? How was your weekend? What is it that this, new week promises to do for us? 949-8837, 949-6990. I had an interesting presentation earlier this morning. Some elderly folks took the opportunity to share with me relative to, what they see going forward. I want to give it up to you, but let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you again, Sterling James.
And to you, sir. How are you today?
Happy New Year again.
Indeed, indeed.
Took the time, try to be one of your first callers that have a little time to say some things I think are necessary.
Please do, yes, sir.
First of all, as I said to you the other day, this is a crucial year in our history, really. It'll be very crucial, I believe. And people have got to stop being so naive, especially when it comes to the economic situation, financial situation worldwide, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
We hear every day economists, they're highly paid people, very highly paid. And they can say whatever they feel like saying because they're paid to say. And, I once remember when I had a little retail business in Miami, one of my customers was a bank vice president, and he'd often say the last person in the world he'd hire to run a business is an economist. They can tell you how to make money, but if you notice, most of them don't have businesses to make money. They're average business that is selling commodities. So anyway, put that aside. But I give lift my hat to them. It's a noble profession, I imagine. But a lot of the world's richest people by far have never been economists, never been to accounting school or anything like that. If you check out our history. Mr. Ludwig certainly wasn't. And for several years, he was on Guinness Book of Records as the richest man in the world. Man who owned national bulk carriers. You know, he did it. Anyway, the thing is, you often read about recession and so forth. Then you read in the next column that the soccer players are being paid $1.2 million a week, not a year.
A week.
$600,000 a week. The money must come from somewhere. We know with the European system, with especially Great Britain, gambling provides a lot of that. I'll say that again. A lot of the money is provided from gambling. Pools, football pools. Been around long before I was born, and I'm old. And other things. But we've got to understand that it's a system whereby the ordinary man can easily be fooled when they tell you these things. They take the issue with the insurance companies. They'll tell you that they're broke and they're this and they're that. But they control the real estate market almost in the U.S. They own bank buildings. They own hospitals. They own many, many things. But they'll say they're broke and they're going to raise their rates and so forth and so on. And we know this is all just a flim-flam show. I say it without any fear of being contradicted on that. But then again, who am I? I'm nobody, really. But I say it without fear because at my age, I can't bother to fear repercussions from these things again. And this is the whole thing. Our people are naive to many things. I remember I didn't go, I went to school in Jamaica, but I remember a friend of mine, that's a very, very long time ago, told me good friends who went to Miss Genevieve Borden School, that when she was asked who is a consultant, she said, that's the guy from over yonder. That's the guy from over yonder. Understand? It's simply just a person who didn't live here or grow up here or whatever, and has come to consult at a high fee. And we do this all the while. Maybe we can cut down on that a lot by utilizing the brilliant minds we have in government and private sector too, but we have them in government too, to do things and tell us how to do things and listen to them instead of bringing in consultants and so forth, just thinking of the ways we can cut down on all this dependency on that, and also to really give the people a true perspective of how things are going. We know with the system of taxation, it's not fair. I've said it 100 times. I'm not going to go into that. Consumption-based only. So we can think about that, what we're going to do with these things as far as the financial part is concerned. The other thing we have to try to do, and we know it's very important, the traffic situation, it can be controlled. We can do something about that almost immediately, because you can only put so many cars on the road. You can only build so many roads, and that's what we're doing right now, is building roads to accommodate the cars. No. That can't work. Eventually, we'll run out of space. This is a limited space here, Grand Cayman. I think it's 76 or 78 square miles. That's not a lot of square miles when you think we have some 60,000 vehicles registered. It's not. So that we have to do. There are some tough issues. We have to answer them immediately. We have to create a very good public bus system. It can be done. I started listening to Mr. O.C.'s show a little earlier on today when they said about the proper bus service, and you have to have it 24. The minister is on, Mr. J. Thank you so very much for being here. That it has to be 24 hours a day, and that's absolute, because there are people who have to go to work at 4 in the morning, and not everybody has a car, should have a car, and they can run a bus service properly regulated by the government. We can just subsidize those who have now and allow them to import buses, not cars, and if it needs be to supplement what we have now. And it's 24 hours a day, and we you can be a subsidies, government subsidies for the routes that are very low paying, but it's necessary to run for a few people who have to get, especially on holidays and Sundays and so forth. We notice that there's an awful lack of buses for the poor people getting to work. We must try to consider our poor people. They're the backbone, the ordinary little working man, the $6 old man most people call it, or woman. And that's we must start to focus our attention on them. We focus a lot of attention on the powerful financial world where these guys are earning thousands of dollars a day, some of them, on the week and so forth. But they'll always survive. The rich will always have, and the poor will always be with you, as Jesus said too, but we can do something to help them out. But we've got to consider these things. Also, I'd like to say we have to stress the importance of preserving our Caymanian culture. We have to stress that, our Caymanian culture. We notice right now, and I say this again without any fear at all, the dominant culture I see here right now is the Jamaican culture. You can hear it, the music being played, and the talk. I was speaking with a tourist, and he asked me, he took a public bus, as many tourists do. Many people don't know this, but they do. Many people know it too. And he was saying to me, what language was the driver speaking? He wondered, because he said he doesn't think it's a language. It would sound more like a dialect. I said, you're absolutely right. It's not a language, it's a dialect. I said, I'm 90% certain that he was a Jamaican. And I said, they do. Even though it's an English-speaking country, and Kingston is the largest English-speaking city south of Miami in the whole Western Hemisphere, capital of Jamaica, I said it's a broken, very broken English. And he said, but a lot of the people, passengers on the bus, also most of them seem to understand him and so forth. I said, yes, because they're also mostly Jamaican. They're here working, honest, hard-working people, going to work, different hotels, different places, different homes, and they can understand it. I said, so that's what you heard. So he understood then. So I imagine he's not the only one like that, but that's the way it is, because that's, as I said, that seems to be the dominant culture. You listen to the music being played even at government functions, and it's not Caymanian music, even though we have some. We have quite a bit. You mostly hear Jamaican music being played, especially what they call this loud boom boom thing, dancehall music, something like that. And you hear that a lot pounding your ears in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, pounding past. It shakes and rattles your windows, your roof, your rafters, everything. You hear that, and nothing is being done, of course, to curtail that or curb that. I can't understand why. I don't understand why, but that's how it is, pounding out there. But like I said, preserving our culture, you notice, is getting mixed up. Of course, it's very difficult in a country that has 140 different nationalities living here. To get the Caymanian culture as it was, say, 40, 45 years ago, 50 years ago, to be dominant. But we can move towards something like that again. Give Caymanians a right to feel proud again of their culture. You don't have to go back to cooking on a caboose or things like that. Nothing wrong with that if you choose. But I think our building catboats, we can do a lot of that too. Even building some schooners, you could, but just something to show people and all that. But I think we can try to preserve it. Just the one other thing before I talk too much and you shut me off.
Not at all, sir.
When they
Go right ahead.
talk about these turtle nests, you know, it's something I've said for a long time. It means a lot to me. The turtle farm, I won't bother to go into all that today, another day. When you find these nests on the beach, take them to the turtle farm. That's our turtle center, whatever you call it now. Great place, beautiful place, great people working there. Having a long conversation, one of the stalwarts there on Friday. Take them there. That's how we started the farm. In case even those working there as veterinarians and as biologists might know, we started it by collecting the nests from other people's beaches. That's how we built that farm. I'm not going to even try for anyone to try to tell me that's not so. And that's how we did it. A wonderful thing. I remember when we had 108,000 turtles there. I remember the success rate of hatching them. All that. I think take them there. They're not going to survive in these modern days on these beaches. And they say that 1 or 5% or 3% survive. Why leave it to that chance? Take them to the turtle center. Take those nests there. Let them hatch out there. We got knowledge. We have everything there. That's my take on that. Have a wonderful day.
Right. Well, I certainly want to speak to you more again, but thank you for sharing. And whenever you have time,
anytime.
Yeah, we can talk more about that.
Those who want to disagree with me, that's fine, and I agree with that.
Exactly.
But I said what I have to say. Thank you.
What I want to ask of you was how, you reference often the need, and many would agree with you, to not only preserve, but to promote the Caymanian culture.
Yes, if we have to make things mandatory. If we make things mandatory, make it mandatory that we observe this and so forth. Then
but
the
you have
and all this and teach the children, and they have to be taught, and we can make it mandatory. Nothing wrong with that. We had a lot of mandatory things when I was growing
exactly.
up. Nothing wrong with that. You got to be told what to do. You can't be telling the teachers what you want to do or your parents what you want to do. All that's a newfangled thing. But we can try and preserve the culture. It's very, very important. I'm talking about giving generational Caymanians a special place. Other countries do it. We see with the United States, with the Red Indians, special treatment, special tax treatment, special places. They have lakes that hundreds of square miles of rivers and lakes that only the Indians are allowed to fish for salmon, and that's been for over 90 years, more than that, way more than that. So we can do something similar. Thank you very, very much. God bless you.
God bless her. Thank you too. And those who, listen to Mr. Mickey can easily identify a man with great respect, a man who is greatly respected, and whose opinion, isn't intended to do anything other than to inform. So maybe when we come back, he has referenced in the past the need, to preserve and promote the Caymanian culture. He's referenced many times, dominant influences. Would you be so inclined and courageous to maybe share with us so we can look at bringing people together, but at the same time, as he says, to ensure that we are recognizable and that we're able to promote and preserve the Caymanian culture. All right, 949-8037, 949-6990. Give us a shout. Let's talk about that, or let's talk about anything else. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Apply today to the Walker Scholarship and Legal Training Program. You will join the Walker Scholarship and Legal Training Program, knowing that you will be offered more, both throughout your time in the program and after qualifying as a Cayman Islands attorney at law. Preparing Caymanians for a career of excellence through mentorship, opportunities, repetition, and experience. Be sure to have your application submitted by 28th of February 2023. Visit the careers section at walkersglobal.com to find out more about Walker's Cayman legal scholarships, articles of clerkship, qualifying work experience, and legal internships.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. It is open line 949-6990, 949-8037. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, my friend. How are you, man? Hope you had a good weekend.
I had a good weekend. I'm giving thanks that I'm here and I'm alive and well, and just giving thanks.
Amen. Amen.
I only tuned in just a couple of minutes ago. I got the very end of Mr. Mickey, and I just want to say I agree with him totally. So there's certainly a huge paradigm shift that is taking place in Cayman.
Right.
I think that in the process of all of that and all of the things that are happening, the Caymanian culture, brand, or whatever you want to label it, has been lost in translation of it all. Hence the reason why we hear many young people asking the question, who we're developing for, and all these different things. To Mr. Mickey's point, over the weekend, I took a drive up Queens Highway to drop something off for a friend, and on my way back, I witnessed. I won't say the culture or anything or the race of people or whoever it was. I'll just simply say I saw a lot of people parking on the side of the road on Queens Highway with all their fishing rods and their coolers and all this stuff going down to the iron shore to go fishing. Now,
right.
And I've known this for some time now that because the melting pot that we are with the different cultural backgrounds and nationalities, some people come from environments where survival was the thing of a norm, and certainly they're here in Cayman and they're demonstrating and displaying similar traits to what they had to do in their own country. Problem is that to Mr. Mickey's point, if there's no real structure that has a very clear guideline or layout, regulations and policies and whatnot, and how you should conduct yourself here, then it's like open season, right? So I know at one point we had this law where you had to be licensed to fish and all this stuff, and I think it contradicted with the human rights thing, so it wasn't able to be. And I could be wrong, and I'm stand corrected, but I do know that there were some attempts made to regulate the fisheries here, but I don't know whatever happened to it and why we didn't do more research into how we could properly structure some sorts of policies and requirements or laws to ensure that our fishery wasn't abused by overfishing or people just fishing to save money and all these different things. So, but again, that's something that needs to be talked about, and we need to certainly identify areas in which need to be dealt with, and that being one of them, right?
Yeah.
So I strongly believe that we have allowed this open door red carpet service evolve and manage itself, and now we find ourselves in a situation where it's overwhelming because we didn't really put in a proper structure in place that had forecasted this level of injection of different people from different backgrounds with different cultures, because we see it on the roadways every day we see the behavior of drivers conducting themselves exactly how they conduct themselves in their country, and it's creating a lot of issues on the roadways here, but no one is really focusing on it or prioritizing that to be a big problem. Half our traffic issues is because we got bad drivers on the road, and that's a fact. So, but how do we reestablish the identity of the Cayman brand? I don't
right.
I don't want to hear nobody talk foolish about Cayman kind, because we've been kind for too long. It's time to reinstall the brand so that we have something that could be represented as a standard of who we are and where we want to be and how we want to, evolve. But we have somehow lost that ability to just simply identify who we are. So, I struggle every day with the simple things that the small people have to struggle with. I mean, and I don't want to go off topic and I don't want to go all over the place, but it's like it's the simple services that we find that are complicated, and we struggle to even use these services. I mean, I called the criminal office this morning for the police record. They open 9 o'clock, close at 12. Now, how in the world, what service are they going to provide to the general public between 9 and 12?
Yeah, but it's interesting though, just the needs, right? Not only the accessibility, but that became now what is the criminal records office as opposed to, what we call before the police records, right?
Yeah, it's yeah.
Why do we? If I might, I mean, it's not only how we change names, how we repeat things in history. We listen to some of the vignettes, as we call them, as is aired on this show, right? Are we trying to paint a particular slant on history that may be deliberate to reinterpret things or deliberate to cement certain things into people's minds? And to your point, the fishing from the shores, presumably it was an issue of enforcement as well. How do you enforce it? But again, is that because we don't really care to, as Mr. Mika said, protect, preserve, and promote the Caymani culture?
Well, the irony in that, Sterling, is that here we have a very strong maritime history, right?
Right.
Our stock, 99.9% of our stock is maritime history.
Mm-hmm.
Going to sea, fishing, doing turtling, doing all these things, right? But because in the absence of us putting proper structure in place from a growth standpoint over generations, because we didn't forecast or we didn't care to project the forecast of how our country would develop, now we have laws in place that encapsulate or is inclusive of the Caymanian people. Now, how can you look at of a 6 or 7 generation Caymanian and tell them that, oh well, you can't go and get lobster, conch, or turtle to feed your family?
Is that man? Is that on us though? I mean, we allow
100%.
Yeah, think about it, right?
100%
we have
is on us.
Yeah, a strong financial services sector, hospitality sector, and yet we fail. And these are from the words of, politicians, past and present, to ensure that our people are properly skilled, developed, and have the opportunities. Not only owning the law firms and the banks and the hotels,
everything.
And I wonder. Go ahead, man.
To your point, Sterling, I don't want to stay on too long because you have other callers, but
no, man, you do your thing, man.
Well, but to your point, right? When you get on an airplane and they telling you about the safety measures and floating devices and the air and stuff, the first thing they tell you? They tell you to make sure that you secure yourself and then assist the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in essence, what they're basically saying is that if you're not secured, if you're not taken care of, and if you're not safe, you're not going to have the ability to take care of the child.
Mm-hmm.
So we look at our island, we look at how it's structured, and we haven't taken care of our own people. We have done everything under the sun and bent over backwards a zillion times to make sure that it's easier for other people to come here and exist in the very same economy and environment that we have to live in and die in is workable for them and sustainable for them. But yet the Caymanians and the people who are here and who are the offspring or the generational persons who went to sea and created this very environment are the ones that are being left behind. So yeah. I struggle again to figure out, or try to figure out, how is it that we could create this wonderful environment for every other person to come here and exist and live the Caymanian dream, but somehow we have fallen flat on our face when it comes to the Caymanian people. And I know you got those people out there who are going to say, oh, well, a lot of Caymanians are given opportunities and they fail and whatever the case is. Listen, in my personal opinion, if you look at the economic boom, for lack of a better term, how many Caymanians are truly involved or have the opportunity to partake in that? Exactly. So that's the question we need to ask ourselves. And if they and I'll leave you with this: if the Cayman Islands today in 2023, right, isn't a sustainable environment or a place where Caymanians and all persons can survive and live and afford to live, and if we're not in the best position in the world for us to have that opportunity, then obviously we have a problem, and that the politicians before and the politicians now are the cause of it. Because certainly the system that created the issues isn't going to be the system that's going to fix the issues. So we need to look strong at that. But anyway, Happy New Year to you and your listeners. And like I said earlier, I just give thanks, and I try my best not to focus on what I don't have and try to embrace the things that I do have, and try to make my surroundings better than where I found it, so that way the next generation will have an opportunity to at least have something to fight for. So exactly, and together we do it. All right. Yeah, man. All right, man. I appreciate it, and I certainly going to pick up on some of the things that you shared after this break. All right, talk to you very soon. All right, when we come back, 949-8837, 949-6990. Share with us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new Boneless Hot Sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
The 2023 National Heroes Day celebration is accepting food vendor proposals until Friday, January 13th. Eligible food vendors should not currently occupy any commercial space, must hold a current business license, as well as a food, hygiene, and handling certificate from the Department of Environmental Health. Documents are available by emailing nationalevents@gov.ky, or you can collect from the Government Administration Building reception desk. All applications must be submitted by 5 p.m. on Friday, January 13th.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable. MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from January 12th to the 21st at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It is open line as we go straight to the phones. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon.
Hi, Sterling.
Hey, how are you today?
Oh, not too bad. Right here, right here.
All right. Well, the day will get better, I pray.
Getting better. I'll start drinking wine.
Well, you know, the little wine settles the stomach.
Sterling, I think I heard last year that they had put some law in place for garbage out of homes and South the Island, and I believe they say it was going to affect. Is it this year it's going to affect you? Did you hear anything?
I'm not quite sure I'm following you. You say I put a law in place last year.
Yeah, I understand that they made a law last year and they said it was going to affect this year for garbage to be disposed properly to be disposed properly at a residence and throughout the island, regular garbage. Did you hear anything about what month is going to go and what month is going to start being active? No?
No, I can't say I really recall. Let me see if I can find where. I'll look it up while we're talking.
Yeah, Sterling, there in Fort Newlands, we got a road called Raven Road, I think it is. Well, the government went down there and called themselves doing some partial work down in there and putting this pressure, what do you call it again? Pressure run on top of the road, whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
The road is not finished. Now it's becoming potholes. They never divided, saying, well, you don't have the yellow line in the middle and saying, do not overtake or you can't overtake. They don't have no sidewalks. All you got there is a bunch of gravel and a bunch of dust flying left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
And this was done sometime last year. And I don't know when they go back to fix that, but anybody who lives in there has to live with that dust every day in their nostrils and their cars to be filtered to come to work on a daily basis. So that road down there, down in Fort Newlands, I don't know when they can fix it, but it needs to be fixed because it's not even a decent road for human beings to drive on at this present time. Because, Sterling, like I said earlier, why are we getting the worst of the worst when it comes to doing anything for us Caymanians? Also, Sterling, you know we got the security center here by the education department.
Mm-hmm.
When they was building that building there, Sterling, I don't know what kind of planning that they gave to the plan department when it came to their parking with customers and their staff. Sterling, that place is worse than an airport with traffic coming and going, and they're using all two sides, left and right. Even the little space that education department got. I went there some time ago, and this person coming from over there into the education department to move their vehicles. They're eating up every inch of space that they can get. And I don't know why the planning keeps approving these places, knowing that they don't have sufficient places for the customers to park and their staff. Somebody's going to get hurt down that road down there. It's not only because the taxi stand is down in there. We got the High Sun business down in there, and there's a road to cut off to go on the main to the roundabout to go to Foster's or go towards East. But the fact of the matter is, it is congested 24/7 long as that building is open. And it's not fair to nobody. Absolutely no one. I really take the honest God to Sterling. I don't know what is going down, but I can tell you one thing. We got some Caymanians here that when they get set up, they're not going to like to see that side of them. Because they're going to bring out the ugly side that they never show in their life. They never trained with how to show. I'm not calling for no violence. I'm not calling for no murder, no nothing. But somebody needs to stand up. You know, Sterling, it is such a grim 2010 show ready for the Silver Island.
But maybe we can do something. You know, I hear your heart. I hear the concerns. And like you said, you know, it's not about being violent or anything. It's about standing up and doing the right thing.
Yes.
So
yes.
maybe we'll see it, and maybe we'll understand that we're doing it for us as we old, you know, but as our children.
Yeah. I just want to hit on something.
Of course.
The public transport with the renewal of your taxi license. Sterling, they got you going from building to building to get information. Well, majority of it is online. A lot of people don't have no online. They got to go and bother people to help them get this stuff put together to get this stuff together to go to public transport. Public transport, you got to go all over to get about 6 to 7 pieces of information to give them. Can you imagine running around this island to get that little information to get your taxi license upgraded? They send you to do a urine test once a year. Sterling, you know how much stuff can happen within that 1 year of that urine test? Urine test should be a randomly something done. When I was working at Cable Wireless, all you know is when that phone ring. Oh, John, there's an appointment down at so far. You're going to go down to social office. I don't use no drugs. I never did, and I never will. But this thing about once a year for $116, anything can happen within that 1 year of drugs. Especially taxi drivers. It should be a random check for the whole year, every couple of months, that somebody's called up to go and do unexpectedly. And whoever the cat is that they want to catch, they'll probably catch it and hope there's no one to catch. I really hope there's no one to catch. You understand?
Right.
But this once a year is not good enough.
And it's, you know, so you're saying it should be random and they should be looking more for the safe aspect?
Check. Yeah. Yeah.
Would make sense.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I'm going to leave you at that and we'll talk some more. You have a great
looking forward to it. You have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, too. All right, with that, let's pause and go to the news. But when you come back, 949-6990, 949-8837. Give us a call.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Needs Assessment Unit has 3 district visits planned for this month. On Friday, January 13th, they'll be at the Boddentown Public Library, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Friday, January 20th, at the Northside Civic Center, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And on Friday, January 20th, at the West Bay Public Library, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. In international news, the U.S. primary school where a 6-year-old child shot a teacher on Friday is to remain closed all week. In a statement, the Virginia school said this was to give its students and families time to heal. The teacher, Abby Zwerner, said to be 25, was left seriously injured. She is now in a stable condition, said Richneck Elementary School. It is unclear how the child, who is in police custody, obtained the gun. Police have declined to say what might have motivated the shooting, but Chief Steve Drew told reporters it came after an altercation in a first grade ages 6 to 7 classroom and did not appear to be accidental. Single-use items like plastic cutlery, plates, and polystyrene trays will be banned in England, the government has confirmed. It is not clear when the ban will come into effect, but it follows similar moves by Scotland and Wales. Government figures suggest that 1.1 billion single-use plates and more than 4 billion pieces of plastic cutlery are used in England every year. Plastic waste often does not decompose and can last in landfill for many years. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July, 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the fifth child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Not only did Captain Scott work the seas for over 52 years, but he was mathematically inclined. In the early 70s, Captain Scott received his first calculator, eventually moving on to computers. After retiring from sea, Captain Scott used his knowledge of navigation, his love for mathematics, and general knowledge to write various computer programs that would impact the lives of the people of the Cayman Islands, such as payroll calculation and a program that could tell the depths at any point of the Georgetown Harbor, which would allow him to give any ship in port the coordinates to drop anchor. However, his pride and joy was his weather program that could detect when a storm formed anywhere in the world and was able to track and forecast its path. To create this program, he first drew the world map by using actual coordinates from the various coastlines around the world, including the most minute coves. This information would be transmitted by his shipping mates from around the world, making him the local reliable source on storm predictions.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for giving us a shout. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or 949-6990. It is open line. I certainly want to pick up on some of the conversations about, the culture and the need to preserve the heritage and the like. And it's one of our callers messaged in to ask, can we ask a couple of questions in particular? What is happening, in particular from the government's perspective with the National Culture and Heritage Policy and the strategic plan for the country. It was a plan for 2017 to 2026. So listeners are asking, can we get an answer to it? What is happening with the National Culture and Heritage Policy? 949-8037, 949-6990. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Excellent, man. How are you?
All right, Dwayne, Sterling. I'm good. God bless.
Sterling Dwayne, right?
Sterling Dwayne.
Have I missed it all of us, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, man. My parents christened me Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, huh?
Anything that goes with your bobo.
That was it, man. That was it.
Yeah. To comment there on your the topic there on heritage, our heritage, that has long gone down the drain, Sterling. Because I mean, how are we as Caymanians, and that gentleman that called about the group of people there on the seashore fishing, that is the same thing that I read about all the time, and I quite sure quite a lot of people saw what he's seen and still nothing being done. I mean, our heritage has lost it. And when you mention heritage, especially I think about the turtles, especially in the grouper. People have come here and they dictate how we gotta live and how we gotta eat. We can't eat grouper no more. We can't eat turtle no more unless it come from the farm. the groupers especially, that was a tradition that was handed down from my father to me on where to go fish, how to look for the groupers, and even how to fish with the groupers. Now today, I can't show it to my children. I can't show it to my children because the foreigners that came in here and take what is rightfully ours as heritage, and they claim it, and now we are left with basically nothing as heritage. It kind of digs to the deepest part of my heart to know that we still call these things heritage, and yet we don't have nothing anymore. Especially over here on the Bragg, we don't have anything. If we go on the shore to try to say we can find something to eat, we're gonna be hound down, like I keep saying in a way. And what I really call for, and I would like to topic more on our heritage situation there because it grieves me. So I really don't want to get there like what old man I say. I don't want to go up on the ladder and pull my blood pressure down. So let me stay down below the party low. That's a really good word.
I'll tell you, I'll board that one day.
Yeah, this situation here with not situation, but in the future we're hoping on getting what seems to be what the government trying to do is better this island here with a cruise ship. Seem like it's gonna be calling more often in the future. But my take on that is we here on the Bragg has hardly anything to offer crews from coming in. I'm not saying that I'm against it or I'm trying to discourage it. No, I am for it, and I love to see them ships come in water. That's why I like to go Cayman and live and stay Harbor View. I can look through the door and see that cruise ship right there. But the thing about it is, Sterling, we don't even have a crop report no more. And I've been trying to get across to hopefully a government official will listen to what I am trying to say or trying to get across. That property that was where the old Tiara Beach building was, the old resort. If government had purchased that piece of property, that is a pristine piece of property that the people could have as a beach. Even if the tourists come here, we have somewhere for them to go, because when tourists come to your country, yes, they want a little rum, they want a little jewelry, a perfume, but they want a beach. They have to get a beach. That is the only place on this island that can accommodate the amount of people coming off that ship. If the government would purchase that old Tiara Beach area for them to clean that up, because we already have the willow trees, we don't have the beautiful white sand and the beautiful green waters. We just need to get it purchased. We thought that we as the people here would have something for ourselves. We hardly have anything. That is where the heritage coming in again. We are down the drain with absolutely nothing. We not even have white sand anymore, Sterling, to put our feet on. We have a little bit of red mold, and pretty soon we got to lose that for what I seen on that bluff. So our heritage is draining down the drain faster than the people can realize. And it seems some people comes on this talk show and say, why do they always blame the government? But Sterling, when you stop and think, who do you have to blame? Really and truly, when you stop and think, you can't blame Sterling, you can't blame your parents, you have to blame the ones that you put in power, hoping that they continue to do for the country what they supposed to do. That is
what you're elected to, right?
That is what we elect them for, and that's what we paying them for. So why is that we can't blame them, but they can turn around and say, oh, this and that, and we don't get nothing but the foreigners come and they reap the harvest from this country, and we are down basically to nothing.
We got a listener who says, and I agree 1,000% with you, we need to buy that beach. So I want to make sure someone's on hold with you as well. Now we got another call on hold, but what else you want to share with us?
Yeah, no, that's good, because I'm on pay as you go. So you go ahead and I'll talk to you another time.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Always a pleasure, man. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, later.
All right.
Yeah.
Later, boy. Let's take this other call. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Afternoon. How are you today?
Yeah. You want the guy, the previous callers that about our heritage and thing and fishing, because what it did to us is we have to fish in 400 to 600 feet out till we killing of the fish. but yet they make everybody come on this island from Timbuktu and fishing along the shoreline, and that's where the small fish is. As the small fish get bigger, they keep going out in deeper water, and until they go over the reef or wherever. But what I see people doing on the shoreline, those little fish not even getting 6-7 inches long, but yet they're fine enough, right? We killing the big fish, they gonna have young ones. Yes, big fish is just like a human. After we reach certain age, we don't produce no more. So if they killing up the small fish, what they gonna expect? It won't be no fish, and all here is for the next the future. When is the future? The future is now, right? I know they take all our heritage away, because you could go anywhere in East End and find saltfish on the line. I don't think one soul know how to salt a piece of fish now, because they take the group away, say they were doing it for X amount of year, and that X amount of year can't come, right? They just want us to be eating these imported fish and that got all this in preservative in it, that killing us out faster. You know, they need to change their ways. Yes, if we can't fish in certain depth of water, nobody should be able to come here on a work permit and fishing along the iron shore, anywhere along the beach.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in the shorelines, in the canals, in the dikes, everywhere, right?
Right. You know, I know one time, loggerhead fries, you could take a machete and chop in the water and chop about 50 of them. You can't even see one now. They kill them up. Yeah. So when are they going to start looking out for us?
That's the thing. I mean, proper enforcement, proper respect, proper education. And well, let's see who wants to share. Any guys you want to share with us?
No, about the whips. One time I called them and tell them about these down on the iron shore picking these small whips. They couldn't do nothing but that, right? Putting up plastic bags so they can't do nothing. But yet if they find me with a 5-gallon pail, they're gonna call me, lock me up and prosecute me, you know. So that's all I got to say for now. Thank you.
Hey, thanks very much. You know, I mean, it is an issue, and as the caller shared, it's not only about now and future generations. It's about hopefully finding that balance between promoting and preserving and protecting the heritage. So what do we do? The initial caller, I think everybody recognizes Mr. Maker and understands his utmost respect and his will to share his view, as he has called for many of us to demonstrate greater courage when he talks about the dominant culture. Is that something that it should be of concern? Is it something that is, as some messaging is shared, you know, it's now so entrenched that any conversation about it, some may, unfortunately, as this person shares, take it as being anti-Filipino, anti-Jamaican, anti-Canadian. It's not about being anti, this person writes. It's about trying to find a way to respect and promote what exists. Well, what is your view? How do we address it? How do we look at it from the issue of fishing to the cultural norms and values, to the idea that the Cayman today is significantly different from the Cayman of 10, 15, 30 years ago? What will the Cayman of tomorrow look like? 949-6990. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Ian.
Hey,
hello.
What's happening, sir?
Yeah,
afternoon.
Yeah. All right. Happy New Year. It's Elvis.
Mr. Elvis, always a pleasure, man. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, okay. So I say I'm starting to hear some of my original Cayman now starting to speak up. Now,
They must be...
Hey, you heard me say this. At least 14, 15 years ago. I said,
right.
for the first time in history of the United States, the greatest nation on earth, so they say, they had a black president, right? You understand? And he could sign paper to declare war all over the world. But if he wanted to go down to the Keys, to Florida, to look at lobster, he had to have a license. Don't care whether he's president or not. If he wanted to go to Texas to shoot a deer or a turkey, he had to have a license. But everybody come out the plane here and do what they want. How much longer? But look at like the gentleman before me. Long the iron shore and the dikes and the mangoes, that's the nursery. And if you kill them out, friend, you killing out the population. You see? It's like fishing in the daycare center. You're taking everybody. They said nobody going to high school. So you can shut the high school down. So you don't kill everything in the daycare center. And what is it that we can't find nobody that we elect to say, fellas, no visitor can fish in. If you want fishing, you got to charter a boat. Nobody on permit can fish in. You want a permit. If you want fish, you have to buy it. Why can't nobody? The marine park's been here 30 years, and we brag so much about it. But the Caymanian can't catch one turtle for his Christmas or his birthday. When the group was again, you can't go in and just say we catch 3 the limit for the Caymanian. No. And everybody gangs up in the White House to jam it on the Caymanian. But when it comes anything to help Cayman, and it's not helping me, it doesn't know what Cayman. I hear them talking about they want to grab that they could fish in with their papa. You fishing?
Yep.
How many Caymanians can afford a big boat to go there? But you can't fish along the bay because it's locked up. I see it, and it happened in Cayman Block. But I don't know when we start to starve to death. Maybe then we'll really start opening our eyes. And about the car situation, we got car dealerships here from 40 years ago. Nobody permit supposed to be bringing a car. As local, if you are a native, and you should have. But look at one thing with it, If nobody don't do nothing, nobody won't be able to go anywhere. Because I was speaking to Lord Graham Rankin from East End. He was up here over the holidays. And I'm making a proposal to the government. I got to talk to Kenneth about it. You know those long flat rocks, like 4 to 5 feet? Well, I got to put one of them with a jacuzzi, a little touch trees, some sun, and a nice little air-conditioned room. So I can pick them up at the airport so the vacation start there. Because in another 5 years, from the airport to the hotel, it can take a full day and a half. So at least I get that much of the stay over tourism. Oh, I take this thing as a just dream, my friend. But it's so real, Anyhow, all the best for the new year. And Cayman, on the site, start talking up now. Because when I talk, I get in trouble. So, I'll try to talk. Thank you very much, Zane.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elvis. And as I listen to the callers, looking at a number of the messages, realizing that everyone, this quick message from someone who says, listen, I was born here. I've been here and gives a number of years. Now I have PR. This person writes, what attracted me to Cayman? First, as a visitor, over the decades ago, and what made me return and then eventually, remain and now want to be a part of the country. The person writes, not necessarily to vote or, stand in an election. This person is saying, what is happening, Is it that we can't? And when it says yes, we, because we all live here, we can't respect and value what it is that attracts us here and try to preserve it? Or is it a game of one-upmanship? Well, what do you think? What do you think? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, or 949-8037. Whichever number you choose to use, give us a shout and let us know what you want to share with us. All right, do we have another call online? 1-800-534-8255, or 949-6990, or 949-8037. A couple of messages here. Let's just read this one from one of our listeners who was talking, about the whole issue. And let's read what was shared with this listener. It says political policies, and this is written by our very own Mario D. Rankin. It says political policies have been the carrier of bad ideas for many years. We've been subliminally imprisoned with their definition of what is best for us. Yet this huge economic growth and success they constantly talk about has only benefited a small orbit of people, while the rest of us struggle from being sucked into a black hole. Seems like all governments have had an incubator that nurses their premature ideas, which has sadly created the world of consequences we live in now. 1. Environmental destruction. 2. Poor health care. 3. Deprivation of education. 4. High cost of living. 5. Foreclosure on mortgages. 6. People starving. 7. Regentrification. Yes, look up that definition. 8. Unemployment or lack of job opportunities. 9. Charities to feed our children. 10. Or to feed our people. And then 10. Total dependency on that system. It's our personal responsibility to pilot our own destiny. However, it is also our collective responsibility to ensure that we hold those who are the elected ones accountable for their actions or lack thereof, securing a spot for the future generations. And that was from Mario D. Rankin. Let's go to the phones and welcome this caller. Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you today?
Happy New Year to you and all the Radio Cayman stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well, man. Hope all is well.
Thank you. All is well. God is good.
Amen to that.
We're still here.
Amen.
Anyway, I'd like to endorse everything that my good friend Elvis just said.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne, there's a talk amongst us who watch and listen to things. We know that in the last 40 years, I would say, at least 35, there's been a lack of management in the political platform. Management for Caymanians to beneficially survive. That's why every election, they have something to prance on, talk about, and make promises. That game has to stop. They might tell you, oh, that's politics, but it doesn't mean it has to work here.
Right.
We are small. It doesn't matter. Our population was what, between 68 and 70. We're still a small population.
Yeah, but you fill up with football stadium.
I can get my bicycle and ride over Georgetown. Every back road you can think about. I can go west, they do the same thing.
Right.
So they don't somehow we get in our minds that this is such a big problem and a big job, but it's not a big job to manage Cayman. I repeat what the late Bo Miller told me. He said, we don't lack no laws to make them fool you. The laws are there. They pick and choose laws they want to enforce. That political thing got to stop. We don't want no more politicians. We want managers. We lacking managers.
Yeah.
It has to change. If it don't change, you're going to see unrest amongst the local people. That will then wash over and reflect on the expat community. We cannot afford this kind of disruption.
And we don't need it. Right.
We don't need it.
It doesn't have to happen, as you said.
Games with it, man. Don't play games with it because we know the games. The advantage we have in Cayman is that we're small. You can do what you want to do. If it's not right, eventually we will find out.
our size can work for us.
You're going to be high.
Mm-hmm.
So I appeal to the politicians today. Please keep it simple, keep it straight. I don't want to hear no propaganda, no foolishness. Just do the job that has to be done to keep Cayman Islands stable.
Yeah.
It can be done, and don't have to spend $1 million to do it either.
Right.
It's
So,
just a matter of enforcing the laws that are there to protect the Cayman Islands, both the expat and the Caymanian. Don't
Right.
cherry pick anything to make it and design it the way you think it should be to favor somebody. That don't work.
right.
Definitely.
So let's do the right
if you
thing.
Do that, it has a negative effect on somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask then. You made the appeal to the politician, but would you make the appeal to the voters as well? What appeal would you make to the voters if you did?
Good point. Very good point. Voters know politics. Study politics. You don't have to go to no university. Cayman is small. You can do background checks on the people who say they can give you the best for your vote. It's easy. It's not. The electronic media has opened the world into a different world. It's not nothing. It's really so little that you can hide. Besides, we know each other. I can go to listen. In 5 minutes, I could have a 5-minute talk with each one of the 19 members right now on any one subject. And in 5 minutes, I can tell you exactly where they stand. Doesn't matter what they tell me. I will know. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I say, we're familiar with each other. And voters must know Cayman Islands history. And you must know where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
These are the two factors that define our personalities and put our wisdom wick flaring.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You understand? People don't understand. So I can leave something for people to think about.
Okay.
Let's compare us to Jamaica. Jamaica is a very resourceful country. Has all the resources they need, but they're still in poverty. We have Cayman Islands, nothing. No manufacturing, no exporting. Can't even feed ourselves. And look how we live. So all these smart people that are so smart, I want them to tell me how that was accomplished. I know how it was. I know how it is. I know how it will remain as long as we stay on track.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't study Cayman history too much. So I can put another pin on that. I'll put another pin on that. I think it was, as far as I remember, it was 12 members sat at Pedro's Castle. They wrote the Constitution for the Cayman Islands and the Book of Laws based on the British rule. They convinced England to sign over the Cayman Islands to them. So I can tell you now what they were thinking. They were thinking they don't want to separate from the British Crown, but they knew they could do better than being in Jamaica and dealing with slavery and all these kind of things. So they wanted to be different. So they saw the Cayman Islands. It's full of swamp, mosquitoes, practically useless except for seafood, lots of turtle at that time. But they were willing to take this because this was their resting place. Most of them were in the Navy, lived on the ocean. This is their resting place. When they take their break, they come here and beat mosquitoes, drink brackish water, and eat seafood. And they used that as a vehicle to gain the rights to the Cayman Islands. So if these people did that, what did they have in mind? Number one, they knew Britain or nobody else would trouble them for it because it has no value. Number two, they knew they could make something out of it. So number three, I'm not going to talk about because that will bring up other thorns that we have to deal with, which I know how to deal with. But you and I can talk about it. If you want to know what's in my mind, you can call me. I'll tell you what the third one is.
I will. And then you can call me too if I don't get to you in time. Yeah. You there? Wow. Caller? Huh. Almost like it happens, huh? Well. 949-6990. 949-8037. We'll pause, take a quick break. Not quite sure what happened with that caller's penultimate point there, but we'll find out. So join us after the break.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The 2023 National Heroes Day celebration is accepting food vendor proposals until Friday, January 13th. Eligible food vendors should not currently occupy any commercial space, must hold a current business license, as well as a food, hygiene, and handling certificate from the Department of Environmental Health. Documents are available by emailing nationalevents@gov.ky, or you can collect from the Government Administration Building reception desk. All applications must be submitted by 5 p.m. on Friday, January 13th.
60 and bossy with J and money. When I trip it easy, trust me. Yeah. Come on, just send some money. I instant entry. Look how you lucky. Bossy, J and money, bossy. J and money, send you go a yard. Scene, bossy. Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy. We well proudie.
Celebrate Jamaica 60 with J and money for a chance to win a dream vacation for two to Jamaica, including airfare, resort stay, and more. Send money for a chance to win. Your loved ones will also be entered for a chance to win a brand new car. Competition runs from now until December 24th. J and money 60 and bossy enough.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at J and Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Bossy, Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy.
No J and bank account required.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks very much for joining us. 949-6990, 949-8037. It is open line as we invite you to be a part of our discussion. And as the callers are reminding us, it is important where we look at preserving and promoting our history and our heritage, our culture, not just to ensure that it's taught in the schools, but it becomes evident. A couple of quick comments from a few of our listeners who are saying one of the challenges right now is simply that, with all of the growth and the pace of the development and the increase in population, it may cause people to be so consumed that they are not exactly understanding the importance of promoting and protecting. Now, this other listener shares simply that the minute you say something that seems to be about championing Cayman and Caymanians and the history, the heritage, the food, the culture, and the like, that for some reason, people, and this person writes, sadly, including Caymanians, think that you're being anti. Well, the question this person asks is, how do you ensure that you promote your own for it to be respected and valued by your own, if your own are the first to be the ones who are disparaging. This other listener weighs in and shares simply that the UK, as an example, through its current Prime Minister, has shared when it comes to not just immigrants and refugees and the like, but they're going to process them in a certain way to ensure that the values of the UK citizens are first and foremost. Now, every country, this person writes, is trying to do the same, not to discriminate against others, not to be unfair, and not to treat them in a way that is inhumane, but it must protect and promote its own. So if the UK can do it, as I paraphrase what this person writes, why should we not take a page likewise? Let me read this. This one that came in on WhatsApp. One of our good listeners, reminds us, in 2004, started an old friends reunion, and was hosted, every year by herself and two other West Bay Caymanian ladies at her residence. Now, unfortunately, the last one, she says, was in 2014 that they got together, and a lot of good Caymanians were lost during those years. Just recently, this over the weekend, we had a funeral service for one of the participants, and at his funeral, she says, that was the most Caymanians you will see gathered in one place. Now, she shares that everybody was saying that this is the only time that we see Caymanians at funerals, and for such a small island, how is it that it's only at funerals that we manage to come out? Now, that I read as it was sent, just as a reminder to us, because it goes along with what one other listener shared just prior. And it's only at certain occasions, the listener referenced funerals, that you see Caymanians. The person writes that we'll come out and pay our respects, as we should, but is questioning what is happening to us that we're not congregating together. We're not doing that at churches as much. And the question the person asks, is it the timing? Is it that we're so consumed with either A, trying to make ends meet, or B, is it greed that is driving us? We're working ordinarily and only on occasions like funerals that we are making time to go and visit and interact. Now, if it is at our final chapter, this person writes, only when we are making that time, is that something seriously wrong with how we are approaching life? Well, share with us. Give us your perspective. Tell us what you think. 949-8037, 949-8037, or 949-6990. Please try the toll-free line if it will work for you. If you have still an issue getting through with it, let us know. 1-800-534-8255, and share your thoughts. Now, I was looking as we were speaking at another message that came through. This person writes simply that Cayman is significantly different today than it was when they first came here. The person said, I came to Cayman in 1974. I had first visited a few years prior, but I'd come back in 74. Let's take this call first, though. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon, and Happy New Year to you.
And to you, good afternoon. Hope for all is well.
Yeah, very good. I'm very, very thankful. And essentially, I just got in the car and tuned in. So, I don't have a history of what you've been speaking about today, but I gather there's something along the lines of the the disappearance of the Caymanian or something like that, or the disappearance of the Caymanian culture. And it was just two things I thought I would add to that. One, I can speak from a bit of an informed position, and the other one is just an observation. But speaking of our culture and trying to hold on and carry it forward, pass it down, I don't think we should even be as concerned about trying to get other people to appreciate our culture as much as we need to try to make sure that our own youth, our own young people, our youngsters, our children are emulating and are carrying on some. I think we're really failing. We, the older people in my generation and above, I think are really failing our own youngsters in not doing enough. I mean, there's some serious competition, yes. You have all these this, that, iPads, and those things, Instagram, the rest of it. Even as a real run for money. However, there are things that can be done. And having worked in the past at the Cultural Foundation, I know there are things that can be done. There were programs there that were really helpful, but there was a serious budget problem. Most people would be amazed if they knew the small budget that was allocated to those things back then. Now, I know there's been a complete changing of the guard at the foundation, and I have a feeling that the new managing director and the new crew will probably be able to extract a bit more, either directly from government or from some of the NGOs and just the philanthropists. I just have a feeling that this new administration there may be a bit more successful than the previous set. And I'm hoping that they will be, and that some more money can be spent on promoting, not only preserving, but promoting and getting it out there into schools, into after-school programs. There were some great programs, but it was limited to 12 to 15 children or something. We need big programs that can take hundreds of people per week, So that's one, and I won't go any further on that. The second one was something that has bothered me and just bothered me for years and years and years. And it's the fact that our own government, our own immigration boards or whatever it is that they are, have prescribed, have dictated that the foreigner must purchase a piece of this Cayman Island to even qualify for a right to stay here, where we have other countries with the very limited land space. And, I hear people talking about these vast borders that we have. I really wonder how an island of this size can have vast borders. Every island on God's earth is surrounded by water. By definition, that's why it's called an island. And we are one of the smallest islands in the world. So when I hear things like about this vast coastline that we have and how difficult it is to police it, I really laugh. I really, really laugh. Because it must sound laughable to the rest of the world. England, under whose flag we remain, is an island. England is an island. Ireland is an island. Anyway, be that as it may, we have dictated that in order for a foreigner to be able to remain in Cayman and to show that they're worthy of becoming Caymanian at some point, they must buy a piece of this rock, to the point where we've sold most of our rock. We've sold most of it out. Now, we have this silly we have this silly notion that we can sell it, and still dictate as to what happens to it. But that's nonsense. You sell it, it's gone. The new owner dictates. And I'm telling you today, without fear of contradiction, whoever owns the land, whoever owns the real estate, calls the shots. We don't own Cayman anymore, and that's why we can't call the shots. And I'll leave it there. It's very sad. My heart breaks. I shed real tears when I think about the malgovernment the maladministration that we've had over the last 50, 60 years. It's the great sell-off started in the 70s. No one don't need to blame Lakiva Bush. It started long before that. As a matter of fact, the wholesale selling of Cayman started with the Honorable National Hero Jim Borden. That's really when things started to get out of hand. And it has continued and gotten worse and worse and worse. And now, my dear, I don't think we can fix this again. I think it's beyond fixing. Sounds rather somber, but despite that, you have a good day.
Well, you do as well. It does sound somber as you shared, and it sounds, but if the caller is accurate, and thank you again for sharing that, Mom. Is it sobering? Somber, perhaps, but is it sobering? Is it a defeatist mentality that we now have adopted? We can't change it. It makes no difference. Or is it then that is what we need in order to move forward? 949-6990, 949-8037. Let's pause quickly, take this break. When we come back, share with us. Stay tuned.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce. All piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean, and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Cybercrime happens online or through the technology we use every day. Anyone can be a victim of cybercrime, whether you are a young person being bullied or harassed online, or an older person or business who's been scammed out of money or personal data. Cybercrime is an issue that touches all of us. The Cayman Islands government has therefore created an online resource to help keep you cyber safe in an ever-changing world.
In online situations, it is better to be cyber safe than sorry. Learn now to protect yourself against cybercrime. Visit gov.ky/cybersafe.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. It is open line as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. 949-8037, 949-6990, and share your thoughts. Now, a quick call, and I mean quick, just during the break, a fellow called and said, I recognize who it is. He says, well, you know, obviously, not even by my accent, but just because you know me, I'm not Caymanian. But that doesn't mean that I'm not Caymanian. And he shares that one of the challenges is that there are many people who come here, and for whatever reason, they like what they find, but they want to change it to what they left behind. And for others, they see the ease with which they can get certain things. And he just used the word concessions from the banks, from government, and depending on how they present themselves, they may come away with even more. He says, perhaps what has to happen is that we need to exert as a country an ethos that demonstrates clearly what is it expected of people who live and work here, and not just, he shared, from those who are now coming, but to make it something that will become generational. He gave us an example. If you look at the amount of littering and the behaviors in our society, it's not the same. Something he shared, and this is, I think, what prompted him to call. He said, he went to a few businesses over the Christmas, and they were closed. And he thought, that's nice. Now, is he not advocating that as a society we can have, all of our businesses closed? The supermarkets we'd want to have open. We want our physicians to still be there, not just the emergency services at the hospital, but even the private physicians. We'd want other businesses to be open. But he says, he remembers when he first came here, when there was a practice that businesses would close during Christmas, or certainly scale back. Now, I did speak to that a couple of times during December. I think that's what prompted him to call. Now, he confesses he hadn't been back in Cayman as frequently as he used to be because of all that has been transpiring. He found himself overseas a fair bit because he wasn't able to get back and was at home here in Cayman. Now, he shared that the construction sector used to take a break. The construction sector had a limited activity, after 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. It used to frustrate him. He thought, why can't they work till the sun goes down? Get this job done. They would not work beyond 1 o'clock on a Saturday. By midday, it was pretty much quitting time, and rarely Sunday or a public holiday. Now it's work all the time, whether it's in construction or whether it's in some other service like the gardening and the like. But he also says, even in the financial services, there are many companies that the public holiday is in Cayman, but not in the markets, as they say. So the employees are expected, and contractually obligated to come into work on those days that may be a holiday in Cayman, but not in another market. So therefore, they have to come to work. Whether there's an expected compensation for that is something he's not always aware of, but in a few instances, it's just an ordinary work day. Now, he shared to share that if we're changing many things and have not recognized, maybe they've just been incremental, maybe we got caught in so much that we no longer recognize the Cayman way. We need to decide what is it that we want. He's emphasized, as I spoke to him a number of times about this, the need for the country to consider what is important. You can't be talking about a breakdown in societal values and families and children, as we used to talk about long ago, coming home to an empty home, and I understand that there may be negative consequences. Now, what if the homes that they're coming home to are homes that are sort of run by people we employ? What standards, what values, what level of instruction are those people given to our children, and what level of respect are we insisting and demonstrating that our children show to the people that we've employed? And he shared, it doesn't matter if that child is the product of a Caymanian family that can go back generations, or that child is one who was brought here very young of parents who have just arrived to the shore. If those children grew up in Cayman and they don't necessarily subscribe or see or understand what it is that the society expects of them, then it'll be, as he says, a free-for-all. Now, I share with you some of the things, although I say it was a quick call during the break, that he reminded me to reference, in our last encounter. He had not long come back, and then he had to leave, and he came back just a few months ago. And he says, it's almost as if you go away for a week and you come back and Cayman has changed a decade. It is that fast pace. But what do you think? Is he off? Is there, like the caller shared. It's a fait accompli. It's already a done deal. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just too late. Or do you think we can still, do something positive without it necessarily being, as many have feared, that we'll end up with nothing, and Cayman of tomorrow will be totally unrecognizable to many of us. And as many would share, our forefathers will be rolling in their graves because of the negative changes that have taken place. Well, 949-8037, 949-990, or you can call us on a toll-free line. We'll pause and we'll take the headline news at 2. When we return, I want to share with you a press release that was issued by the Insurance Association relative to the expected premiums and the like. There was a one shared previously as well. So let's pause and take this break, and when we come back, more open line here on Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. In the forecast tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of overnight showers. Temperatures will fall to the low 70s Fahrenheit. Winds will be northeasterly at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. In international news, California is bracing for more severe weather this week, with forecasters warning of an incoming relentless parade of cyclones. The U.S. state has already suffered a week of torrential downpours and damaging winds that killed 12 people in 10 days. More than 120,000 people are still without power as of Monday morning. The governor warned on Sunday that the most brutal weather is due in the next 48 hours. Princess Diana would have been heartbroken about the conflict with his brother Prince William, Prince Harry has told a U.S. television interview. He told Good Morning America their mother would have been saddened at the arguments, which he said were fueled by briefings to a divisive press. Prince Harry said there had to be accountability before reconciliation. He also ruled out a return to the UK as a working royal. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks very much for joining us. It is open line, 949-8037, 949-8037, or 1-800-534-8255. You can also call 949-6990. Just a quick, sort of update from the Ministry of Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure. They're announcing today that Cabinet has again given approval for the National Community Enhancement Project, NICE. That's going to resume from January 11th to the 26th. So, the Honorable Minister J. Banks has shared that, he was pleased with the success, right, of the recent program over the period lead up to Christmas last year. I'm thankful to my colleagues in the PAC government for agreeing to extend the offer of a stipend to volunteers who are available to continue the good works. With the continuation of economic challenges being placed by our people, are faced, especially during this period right after the holidays, we are thankful that we can provide a reprieve at this time. So the NICE program continues through the 26th. Perhaps it's something that we will look at increasingly to figure out what more we can and should be doing relative to the increasing costs, the notion of how increasingly more and more people are feeling the economic pinch. And as the callers all have alluded to, are there things that can and should be addressed that are not necessarily being done so as diligently as possible? Well, from the Cayman Islands Insurance Association, there was a press release some time back reminding us of some rate increases. They've put out another one today and saying that, rate increases in Cayman for 2023. The Cayman Islands Insurance Association is notifying residents that they should anticipate increases in their property insurance premiums rates in 2023. It says that many local insurers have now gone through their reinsurance renewal process. Insurers will need to increase rates to cover the increased cost of reinsurance. Along with these increases, many insurers will effectively be rationing the coverage offered as less insurance capacity is available. All local insurers will be in the same situation: increased rates and reduced capacity. For insurance customers, this means that rates increases on all types of insurance along with reduced coverage availability. To help with personal insurance, it says, speak with your representative. So the rate increases will be likely between 15% to 30%, depending on various factors such as the type of construction, the property protections, the property location, and elevation. Now, the last press release, talked about supply chain issues, and I sort of jovially, picked up on what someone from the sector had mentioned when they saw it, and I thought, okay, but now they're telling us, expect increases from 15 to 30%. Now, that was a press release that came out earlier. I had a sort of a notation from someone on it, and it's saying that given the constant increases in cost that have been faced by consumers in Cayman, is there anything that can be done to address that? The person shared that government, to date, may look at borrowing more funds and giving more stipends and more assistance to businesses as well as consumers. But how, can the government continue to do that for an extended period of time? And with that increased borrowing, will there mean increased debt? And will that now mean that the government itself will have to find additional revenue through either, cutting programs or increasing taxes or the like? And was asking, can we put our heads together to find a ways to look at the costs? And there are certain suggestions that he put forward. I'm hoping he will, at least write something for us to read, but preferably, come on the show and talk about it. Because as an industry professional, I think his voice alone would carry credence, but what he shares may actually give some of us a second to pause and reflect on what he said. With his consent, he said that we all seem to understand some of the issues that are affecting most of us, but for whatever reason, we're not willing to suggest them publicly. Now, he has said, just generally speaking, there are many times that your own colleagues don't want to listen to a suggestion. Government officials, the politician that's currently in the House, or the one that was there previously, or even civil servants, those that are serving now, those that are retired, sometimes aren't, in their minds, positioned to do anything about it. Their hands are tied. And he says, well, as we look at that, it's going to be a problem for all of us going down the road. If a property suffers a damage because of some weather system, and that damage is significantly more than sort of surrounding properties, and given that Cayman is relatively small, it doesn't matter if it's a claim from a property along 7 Mile Beach or East End. If it's a significant claim from this market, it will affect the entire sort of rate that the country as a whole will face. Now, given all that is happening globally, are there other issues and are there other ways that we can be addressed? He suggested a number of things that we need to consider, and not the least of which, a collective action. Can the country, through its government, look at serving its own reinsurance? Can the country consider doing things where the costs are borne, by the entire sector, as opposed to, what we have now, where you as an individual insure with this company that goes out. Now, he did say, as a former professional in the industry, that many of his colleagues necessarily don't share his perspective because they see it as anything other than a capitalistic approach. But he says, there are things that are too significant, the costs are too high to make it sustainable, for people to continue to pay their premiums. He's had, many instances where some of his neighbors have said this, I no longer have a mortgage, or thinking that they could just insure for their value remaining, the balance remaining on the mortgage versus the value of the property, only to find that they're now significantly insured. So that money that they spent on the premium was really, for the most part, as he put it, a waste. So they may decide, let me self-insure, take the risk, feel comfortable that despite the deductible that may have to be paid in order to afford the insurance, they will be able to find the money, given the quality of the construction, the confidence in their structure, to weather any storm. And if that is happening, will the damages to the properties be more significant, and will they stay in a state of disrepair? And he says, as a result, maybe we need to consider rethinking how we provide insurance coverage, how we look at education, how we look at healthcare. He says, many people would see that as something bad, socialists. But he says, these are costs that could and perhaps should be borne by a greater amount of people, as opposed to what is happening now. So to your point, 949-8037, 949-6990. Give us a shout and share your thoughts with us. Let us know what you're thinking relative to, what is happening in the country. As the lady who called earlier said, a lot of things are happening, and already the year seems to be off to a bad start. Her words sort of echo the sentiments of the other lady that called earlier and said that, the future isn't that rosy, that things don't look that necessarily bright and, promising. Is it that they're seeing and reading the tea leaves differently from you? Are they just more realistic and more honest with themselves and therefore with their sentiments? Or is it that, we see and we know, but we don't want to share, because then if we keep it to ourselves, we will benefit more at the expense of others? And if so, should that be our mindset? Or is it that we should be looking at, as I referenced the gentleman that gave me his perspective, looking at sharing costs, reducing things to make it more affordable for all of us, and not necessarily be driven by the greed, that model of capitalism that I think many subscribe to as being the only successful model. For you to benefit, it has to be at the expense of others. To do otherwise, well, I'll be bordering on socialism or worse. Let's take this caller. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you again, Sterling Dwayne. I'm sorry I said Sterling James earlier on. Don't know why.
Not so okay, yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, man. Welcome back.
Yes, I'd just like to say the insurance thing, as I said before, we've had like 18 years without any serious claims since Hurricane Ivan on insurance companies, and they've raised the insurance premium since then for everybody. They've made billions of dollars here. Yes, we had the damage in Cayman back, but that was more insignificant to the claims that would be from here if that happened here. We had a few claims, we know, with Grace and so forth, and the same disappointing thing on the insured and they're taking out here. So you get nothing. If you're not going to claim for at least a quarter of the value of your place, you're not going to get anything really. You're still going to get, I don't want to say shafted, but I said it here, so I guess anyway. Just leave it at that. Because really say, listen to me. When I called first, I said, let us stop being naive people. We must not be fooled by all these things. these companies are in business, and we can't blame them. Our friends are insurance salesman, wonderful one that passed away recently. It's like anything else. Insurance, in particular, it's a gamble. You're gambling when you buy insurance. No one can deny that, or no one can say that I'm not saying the truth. It's gambling. You're gambling. We're playing gambling with you. Probability, permutations, combinations. Same mathematics for pari-mutuel gambling, the racetrack. It's the same mathematics used. Very same. And this is the whole thing. If you insure for just a portion what you have left on your mortgage, if you claim something, it's got all kinds of deductions that come about, you get nothing. The whole thing is people will have to take the risk, as many people, if they're taking the risk, look at what they've thrown away since Hurricane Ivan. Thousands and thousands of dollars they'd have in bank account if they were to say, let me put this here, what I've been paying in premium since I owe no money on the house. And look at what they would have in a bank account in case something happens. They'd be virtually self-insured, as you're saying. But, you know, people are going to say, well, I'm going to spend the money on. So I know people who have done that and have not spent the money and did it. Yes, I probably will spend it. Anyway, the point is all these things are just perceptions they're putting out there. And they will tell you they're not making any money. I wouldn't use it. What do we call it? Texas oysters. If you understand what I'm saying. Texas oysters. We know what they look like. An oyster looks like. Just magnified. Texas is big. So you understand what I'm saying. That's all it really is. What from Texas to Texas oysters when you're trying to handle and shovel them not. This is, I'm sorry to say, we are too naive of people. And to preserve our culture, we've got to stop being naive. But this thing, I'm glad someone calling about it. I believe we have reached a point where it's almost a hopeless situation to try and turn around. Because in any case, they're going to tell you human rights. But if we stand up and say this is mandatory, children have got to learn this in school. And that's it. Doesn't matter which school they're going to. That's part of the curriculum, our culture. Look at where we have restaurants selling crocodile meat and kangaroo meat. But I don't, dinners, but I don't know if they're selling a turtle dinner or a national dish. This is what made Cayman, turtles. Turtling is what gave us our seafaring abilities. Don't have to believe me, you ask any of the old mariners who are still around. That's what gave us our seafaring abilities going. Turtling, and that was our. It is still Cayman's national dish as far as I'm concerned. But we talk about it now. Oh, you can't do that. You can't turtle. Oh my God, it's extinct. It's this, is that. It's on endangered species again. Texas oysters. You can pick up a turtle in Honduras. My cousin over here tell me for $30-40 US. They can buy a turtle off the. Anyway, I won't bother to go into that. You get people saying, no, it's not true. Anyway, you learn to pay, not just pay is to learn, you learn to pay. It's all about us being so naive. We believe these things. We believe the whole world is broke, but we hear every day the NFL are paying better, big, humongous salaries. The NBA, humongous, Major League Baseball playing, the golfers are billionaires, the tennis players are billionaires, but the world is broke, it's recession, it's this, it's that. Recession is created by the very rich to get richer and fool the poor people into more submissiveness. Thankfully to people who called and Mario and so forth support what I said, Lawn and all the rest. We have got to wake up. If we want to try and preserve our culture, we take some serious mandatory steps, and we need courage in our elected representatives in our parliament. I commend them all, congratulate them for standing up and taking all the flack on the beaten stick at all times, all the floggings that they take, but that was their choice. Their choice. The day we moved away from the turtling and the seafaring life, moved into this life of the high finance and stuff, there's a price to pay for everything in life. And I'll never forget the day me and my brother tried to run around the car business from St. Mike Simon on a car dealership there. 1974, I was out at the airport, and I said to him, I'll never forget it, seeing the people coming in with their suitcases filled with money and so forth. And that was still legal. Now it's electronic transfer, of course. I said, one day we will pay for this. That's 48 years ago. I said, one day we will pay. We're paying now. We're paying now. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
And to you, sir. Thank you. With that, we'll take the final break. But we invite you to call 949-8037 or 949-6990. Stay tuned.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thank you so much for joining us. It is open line for the remainder of the program, 949-8037, 949-6990. And share your thoughts. Now, to the callers, and the need for us perhaps at the beginning of the year is a good time to decide and to think about where we are and what we're doing. Let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. All right, well, certainly invite all of our callers to try again. We certainly want to encourage each and every single one of us to be able to share our perspectives. It's important that we understand that our voices matter. Collectively, or impact, can be very positive if we are willing to stand, and as the last caller would remind us many times, have courage. Let's do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Let's unite and come together as a people who want to see a society that is safe, civil, stable, society that has social harmony, has political stability, economic prosperity, and has great sense of civility, because its populace will not, condone behaviors that put others in peril. And as many have shared today, we have laws. The question is it selective enforcement? Is it that we're not enforcing certain things? Is it that when we amend the laws, as one of our listeners penned earlier, the things we do only benefit, a small group of people. And if they do, are we asking and assessing whether that benefit is at the expense of others? Now, again, the issues facing us relative to the cost of living, the crime that we see occurring, and sometimes, we say, oh, well, it's still relatively safe. Well, if it's relatively safe, but one time we would say it was, relatively crime-free, what is changing? And what is the impact on people's quality of life, their mental state? Do they feel safe in their homes, in their businesses, walking to their cars from work or from shopping or whichever? Well, let's address that. Let's go to our phones though. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dwayne. How are you?
I am very, very, very healthy. Thank God. Very, very appreciative. How are you?
Same here. Happy
Amen.
New Year to you.
And to you, most.
Yeah. My friend Mickey Hulston just called a while ago, and I want to back him up on what he said. But one thing that worries me is CITES. You remember that organization or establishment that shut down our turtling? It was CITES, they called them, correct?
I think it was the Convention. It's also Trade in Endangered Species or something. CITES.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that the United States, I don't know where they come from, but it's Europe or the U.S. But I guess the U.S. is part of them. Now, the U.S. had the same problem with their buffaloes. And they did a endangered species on the buffaloes. And they shut down hunting them. Then afterwards, they became such an abundance, herd of them, that they had to pay people then to shoot them because they were going in people's farms. They couldn't find enough food to eat after they put them in the species category. You couldn't even look at a buffalo after that. Now, how many years it has been since they shut down our turtle trading or whatever? Probably 40 odd years. You can tell me that none of our governments or administrations have ever thought of going back to CITES and at least plead to them or appeal to them to let us import some turtle meat from Nicaragua or Costa Rica, wherever they're abundant, where they're crawling all over each other. Like Mickey said, you can buy a whole, probably 150, 200-pound turtle for $40 US. And they're still eating the turtles down there. So what's wrong with Cayman importing them, even if it's open season? I think we should start to negotiate or ask them or appeal to them to let us get back our old traditional food, cultural food that we all grew up on. Because I think it's very disheartening and mean for them to stop us from importing any type of turtle meat. Okay? And getting back to this insurance, oh my God, you can't be telling the truth when you say they're going to raise that up to 30%. For what? Did we have a disaster here that they had to pay out any pile of money? They're one of the richest establishments in the world, is the insurance company and the reinsurers. And I know, or I think that the government should step in here, but of course, you can use the word naive. I don't want to say what I would use. You understand? I don't want to get out on the radio about us. I don't really want to say it because I'll get in trouble. But to me, that is ridiculous. I hope the government don't sit back and let the insurance companies raise their premium to that ridiculous height. I hope not. But it appears to me that and I heard my dear old friend, Mrs. Bush, Lorna Bush, earlier, saying that we do not own this country. And it's the God Almighty truth. The corporations run the country. Because how can they do these things and the government sit back and accept it? Something is absolutely wrong there, Dwayne. Something is absolutely wrong. And you know who? It's the majority of the Caymanian people that is being harmed. It's being harmed by these ridiculous pressure that they put on us. We're the one that feel it. It's not the rich people. It's the majority, which are the poor people, especially the businesses. We are the one that feel this atrocity. But anyway, I would hope that the government start to grow some steel cojones and not wear the cotton anymore, because they have to stand up to these corporations. But
so as Mr. could say, have courage to do the right thing.
That's the good old word my friend used,
Mm-hmm.
courage. But we don't have it. For some reason, I don't know why. I can only make my assumption that they don't have any courage or reason to try to quell this whole situation with the corporations in this country. And I don't want to go no further into it because there's a lot more to say. So you have a good year, Dwayne, and I'll listen.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon. Okay, bye-bye.
And likewise. And perhaps let the sentiments of our callers, again, thank you very much for that, sir. And if we are willing to take on board what was shared, appreciate that we work together. It doesn't matter the wealth that we may have. The whole issue is that anything that costs, we might be able to absorb that cost easier if we have a little bit more disposable income. But it doesn't mean that money now that is spent on one thing can also be spent on something else. It's not possible. Well, tomorrow's another day. Let's see how we can go through the rest of the day, working together with a perspective of making the day even better as each day unfolds. Join us again for more talk today right after the midday news. So looking forward to being a part of the discussion. Until then, have a wonderful afternoon.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.